G'day guys, DDU here, and welcome to part 4 of the DDUniverse Custom Figures Overview. Today we will be taking a look at Rodan Q. Rodan Q here serves the purpose of Rodan in the DDUniverse. The figure was originally based off of the SH MonsterArts Singular Point Rodan, as you can see right here. There was no other sculpt or articulation changes made to that figure, so the base details, the base articulation all remain the same and they carry over from this figure. So the only real differences, again, like some of the other DDUniverse figures, most of them actually, is just the paint. So let's take a quick look at the paint and we will talk about the inspirations and stuff behind some of the choices I made. So Rodan here is very clearly green, which is a color that the character, to my knowledge, has never been portrayed in before. So most of the time Rodan is a brownish red. Green I thought was a pretty cool color. And there's actually some other design choices and inspirations as to why I chose green. So when coming up with the character, I originally wanted it to be a sort of space deity or an earth protector type creature, and one of my other hobbies that I really enjoy is actually the Pokemon franchise, and there's a character in that, a Pokemon that pretty much suits the role that I wanted Rodan here to play, and that was the Pokemon Rayquaza, or Rayquaza depending on how you want to pronounce it. So a lot of those elements carried on to Rodan here, mainly the green with the red highlights. So as you can see, the green extends to all of Rodan's body, so all of the main body parts, like the hand down to the wing and the arm, the torso, the legs, so on. They're all that same green, all that same green detail, with the only difference in the actual body being the wings, which we will talk about shortly. So besides the green, I decided to give Rodan red highlights, so those were added to the tips of the spikes on Rodan's chest and the tips of the claws, as you can see, same with the feet, and then most notably Rodan's head or skull. So the red carries on throughout all of that, so you've got it all over the bottom and the top beak, all the way up to the back of the crest up here, along the top too. And then that's broken up and contrasted pretty beautifully, I might add, by this metallic sort of blue. Now that sits inside the nasal cavity. It also sits inside the mouth membrane just here. We've also got that painted up inside the teeth, which sort of gives Rodan a very almost Pennywise the Clown sort of look when you've got his mouth open just like that. I think that's pretty cool. And that metallic blue sits on the underside of the throat and it carries down Rodan's neck, down those two joints there. There is a little bit more of that blue as well, just sitting inside the membranes here on Rodan's back. And then notably, the wings. So the wings were done in a matte black, complete matte black. Didn't really want any sort of gloss or anything there, so I had to make sure I got a nice Tamiya matte black for that, and it turned out pretty well. A lot of layers for that one. I think about 6 or 7 layers of hand painting to get that desired effect. And then after that, I speckled in some of that same red and same metallic blue into the wings here, into the wing membranes. There's also a tiny bit of white done there as well. And then that was done to give the wings a galaxy-like finish, if that makes sense. So when Rodan's sort of flying over, hypothetically in universe, flying over at night, you won't really see, you're not supposed to see the wings or so. You're only supposed to sort of see or notice the green of the character. So I'm not sure how well that would convey, but you can sort of imagine Rodan flying over and sort of having that sort of trail of galaxy and energy and space, cosmic energy and aura sort of trailing behind it. So that was the inspiration for why the wings look the way they do. So This figure I actually made in tandem with another figure at the same time. Because the SH MonsterArts Singular Point Rodan figure, when it came out, was so cheap, I, like many other people, ended up buying multiple copies. So I think I ended up with 4. I painted one up to look like Rodan Q, you see here. One of them I opened and just left as the base Rodan, and that's the one that sits with the rest of my Singular Point collection. The third one I have kept sealed in box. And then the fourth one I actually painted up just here to sort of resemble and look like the Rodan that you see for a split second in Godzilla Singular Point. That sort of black Rodan that flies and gets taken out by Godzilla Terrestrius or whatever. So we'll actually take a quick look at that figure, just because it was made essentially the same way as the DDUniverse Rodan. The only difference is after the grey top coat, after the black, I've just sort of stopped and added some highlights. So just quickly fixing his head here. You can see that this figure kind of turned out okay, not the best. You can definitely see a lot more of those brush strokes in the wings here. So the wings were done the same way on this figure as they were on the DDUniverse Rodan. So it just goes to show how much the extra paint sort of helped the effect there. But this figure just had some minor detailing, just some grayish white sort of done along the undersides of all of the folds and stuff, and then some of the wrinkles to give it that look that the Rodan had in the anime. Even tried to replicate the flaming sort of mouth, but to no avail. It's pretty obvious that I sort of rushed this figure, or the making of this figure, because my priorities were, at the time, getting a very nice DDUniverse Rodan done. So we'll say goodbye to this figure here. Maybe I'll do another video on it at some point, but that's not the focus of today. The focus of today is DDUniverse Rodan. So we'll take another quick look at just some of that dry brushing, just to sort of show just how subtle you need to be sometimes just to get those details. A lot of these details were lost on the original figure, but luckily the dry brushing really pulls those out. Like that on the chest there. See a little bit more on that neck. As you can see, the eyes remained the nice gold. I painted the eyes a nice gold, and that sort of carries over through a lot of the DDUniverse characters. Actually, a lot of them have gold eyes. That wasn't done intentionally. It just sort of turned out to be a happy accident. So you can see some of that dry brushing that's been done on Rodan's beak and stuff here. So we went with a dark red, a little bit lighter on top, and then a final sort of streak of bright color, sort of red or white usually, mix of the two, right on the top of the crest and stuff here, just to really highlight those sharp edges. And that's something I picked up from the Warhammer community. So I tried to replicate that a little bit here on the ring membrane without really sort of highlighting those seam mold lines. Unfortunately, as you can see just here, there is a little bit of paint chipping, but that's just the nature you get when doing custom figures. The more you paint up the joints, the more you run the risk of paint chipping, especially on a more articulated figure like an SH MonsterArts. That's just sort of the nature of the craft, unfortunately. There's only so many layers of top coat and protection you can put on there without it sort of crapping itself and falling over. So as you can see, Rodan actually does look pretty menacing in certain poses and whatnot. So if we can get Rodan to stand here, that's a pretty cool pose, pretty menacing, looks pretty good. Because the articulation wasn't changed, Rodan can get into all of the poses that you would like him to. So you can do that singular point, crawling on all fours sort of pose, even though the base figure itself can't really do it too well, but can get that done. The same effects that the figure came with, so the flight stand and all of the other mini Rodans still work with this figure, they still look good. I don't actually know where those are. Probably should have bought them out beforehand, but that doesn't matter. So that's pretty much it for Rodan. It's just a very quick custom. Some minor differences, based or inspired loosely by the Pokemon Rayquaza. Nice green, a little bit of red, a little bit of blue. Smashed it out, and I think it turned out very, very well. The color contrast actually looks really good compared to a lot of the other characters in the DD universe. So when you have Godzilla standing next to Mechagodzilla, standing next to Gigan, with Rodan up here, the general image of all of them together looks really, really nice. And I think a lot of that actually does come from Rodan being that very nice high contrast green with the red on the top and the striking blue. It's very eye-catching. So that's all I have for this video, guys. Sorry just for rambling and ranting at you. I didn't really know what to really do with this video just because it is such a small figure and a pretty easy custom I made at the time. But let me know, do you guys like the DDUniverse Rodan? Do you think he looks pretty cool? Do you think he looks pretty scary? Do you think I should have used the other SH MonsterArts Fire Rodan figure as the base? I don't know. Let me know what you think. And until next time, I will catch you all later.